In this video, we will discuss about how do we apply the rate of change or the derivative in our daily life, in the real life problems. Okay, this is basically the application of the derivative. Okay, so do you remember that the chain rule says that if the top and bottom they don't match, the base don't match, then we'll have to do times the prime of the top, right? So but if they match, it is what is the derivative of x squared with respect to x? So dx squared over dx, they match, so it is n x n minus 1, right? So it is basically 2x, you see that? But if you do with respect to t, then they don't match. So what do you do? 2x to the 2 minus 1 times dx over dt. You still keep that, right? Because they don't match. Okay, so what is the final answer then? 2x times, you can write x prime or you can keep dx over dt. It's just the notation. So how about here? They don't match, right? So what is the derivative of sine x? Is cosine of x times and then x prime, or you can keep dx over dt. So x prime or x dot, you can whatever notation you want to give, but you need that derivative term again. You need to put that extra derivative term if they don't match. Okay, so let us see some examples here. So let y equals to 4x squared plus root x. Find dy over dt. See, you will need to differentiate with respect to t. If dx over dt is 1 and x equals to 4, let us do this problem. So how do I find out dy over dt? Is basically you need to find out d over dt. For 4x squared, you need to find the derivative with respect to t for 4x squared and then plus d over dt. And then this is x to the 1/2, right? Root x is basically x to the 1/2. So for here, that 4 will come out, so it will be 4 and then dx squared over dt, right? Plus, what is the derivative? See, you see that it is x to the n, but there is no x in the denominator. So what you do is you need the power rule. You use the power rule. So 1/2 x to the 1/2 minus 1 times, and then you need to do dx over dt, right? Because they don't match. That's the chain rule basically. And similar thing here, it will be 4 times 2x times dx over dt, right? Plus it is 1/2, and then what is that? That is x to the negative 1/2, right? X to the negative 1/2 and then times dx over dt. Okay, so let us simplify that and plug in the value of x and 1. You will get 4 times 2 times 1 x is 4, right? 4 times 2 times 4 times dx over dt is 1, and then plus you write, what is that? 1/2, right? X to the 1/2 is equals to the denominator with x to the positive 1/2, because there is negative on the top. You move that to the bottom with positive 1/2, which is root x, right? Root under x is 4. So 1 over 2 times root under 4. And then times dx over dt is again 1. So if you simplify that, what is that? It is 4 times 2 is 8 times 4 is 32 plus 1 over 2 times root under 4 is 2. So 2 times 2 is 1/4, right? So 32 plus 1/4. Basically 32 plus 1/4, right? If you simplify that, what do you get? You will get 32 times 4 is 128, right? So 128 plus 1 is 1. Basically you will get 129 over 4. That is the final answer. That's what you get. Okay, so basically here you will have, your question will have y equals to some function of x, but you will have to find the derivative with respect to t, meaning that you will have dy over dt or dx over dt, both term involved, and you will finding out one and the other will be given to you. Okay, let us do this problem. From this equation, x cubed plus y cubed equals to 8, find dy over dt if x equals to 9, y equals to 12, and dx over dt is 5. Let's do that. So let us find the derivative. Okay, so if you differentiate, you will get dx cubed over dt plus dy cubed over dt equals to d8 over dt, right? I'm differentiating with respect to t, but this will be 0, right? You see that this term is basically 0. Okay, so so what do you do on the left? Because they don't match, it will be 3x squared times dx over dt, right, plus 3y squared times dy over dt equals to 0. You see that? So you need to plug in dx over dt and then x and y and then solve for dy over dt. What does this implies? 3 times 9 squared times 5. You see that? 3x squared and dx over dt, all those values, plus 3 times 12 squared times dy over dt equals to 0. Our goal is to solve for dy over dt, right? So how much is that? We use calculator to find out that. So 3 times 9 squared times 5 will be 3 times 9 squared times 5 is basically 1215. So this is 1215 plus 3 times 12 square will be 3 times 12 square is 432. 432 and then dy over dt. So you subtract that, right? You subtract 1215. So so there is equals to 0 as well, right? So I subtract 12 over 15 there too. Subtract 1215. What do you get? Basically you get dy over dt. Also we'll have to divide by 432. Let me write down 432 for now. This implies 432 dy over dt equals negative 1215, right? And divide by 432. What do you get? If you divide by 432, so divide by 432 and then divide by 432, right? If you do that, then you get dy over dt equals to, so dy over dt. So let me write that. So basically dy over dt is equals to negative 1215 over 432. That is negative 1215 divided by 432. Okay, and then it is the fractional form for this is basically 45 over 16. 45 over 16. So this is the final answer here. Okay, this is the final answer for this problem. All right. So similarly, you want to find out dx over dt from this question. Okay, dx over dt, if x is 12 and y equals 9, dy over dt is given as 4. Let's do the same thing. So if you differentiate, what do you get? Dx cubed over dt plus dy cubed over dt, right, equals to d8 over dt. Exactly the same thing, right? But this thing is basically 0, right? Because the constant, the derivative of the constant is 0. So what do we do then? So basically we do find the derivative of the x cubed with respect to t will be 3x squared times dx over dt, right, plus 3y squared times dy over dt equals to 0. Now we plug in the values of x and y. Okay, so what is the value of x? 3 times x is 12 square and there is dx over dt. You need to find out that, plus 3 times 9 square and dy over dt is how much? 4, right, equals to 0. So you simplify this and solve for dx over dt. What do you get? So let me find out how much is 3 times 9 squared times 4. 3 times 9 squared times 4 is basically 972. So this will be plus 972, and 3 times 12 square we found out that already, right, 1215. So 1215 times dx over dt, right, equals to 972 plus 972 equals to 0. Now what we do next is subtract 972 on both sides, minus 972, and then we'll have to divide by 1215. You see that? So that will implies, so you get 1215 dx over dt equals to negative 972, right? And then divide by 1215. What do you get? 1215 and divide by 1215. You get dy over dt equals to negative 972 over 1215. Let me use calculator to find out that. Okay, 12/15 is equals to 4/5, I guess. Okay, so that is 4/5. That's, oh, by the way, there is negative 4/5 because there is negative sign, negative 4/5. And then I think I forgot that negative sign here too, right? So this is negative 45/16. So for the previous problem, it should be negative 45/16. That is the answer. And here it is negative 4/5. Sometimes the web assign asks you to write the decimal, sometimes the fraction. I prefer fraction, that's fine. If you write the decimal, that's fine too, okay? But on the web assign, you should follow what the question asks. All right, guys.